Howdy folks, I'm Genial Geranium, greedily growing giant greenery.
I'm Amber.
And here's more giant greenery for us to grow, because we're very talented green thumbs geranium. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, My common-law husband is in Dubai, and his side piece showed up at my door with their baby. Am I the jerk for kicking her out even though she is basically homeless? My husband and I, a 40-year-old female and a 41-year-old male, have been together for 10 years, and I consider them years to be very loving and happy, but apparently not for him, since he had a side piece, obviously. I make furniture, and I make around 1 million euros a year. My husband is a teacher, and it goes without saying that I provide for us. I don't ask what he does with his salary. We live way below our means, however, because we are both minimalists, we have a big house, nice cars, and a lot of art. Everything is mine, however. Apparently, he met a side piece, a 25-year-old female, under false pretenses and told her that we were legally married, so he owned one half of my company and everything else I own. When she got pregnant, he started spending his salary on her. I wasn't alarmed because I didn't know what he did with his money. Now he's in Dubai on vacation and her lease on her apartment just expired, so she showed up on my door with her baby. She told me that she was his girlfriend and that he was going to get a divorce, so she might as well live in his house and I could live in a hotel because I could afford it. She didn't have any money or home. She literally refused to step out, so I called the police and I locked myself in the greenhouse. When the police came, she was literally unpacking the child's clothes in the living area. They escorted her out, and I was very shaken. Later, I found all the details I included above. My husband's mother thought that I was a jerk for kicking out a little baby on the street. That was her only grandson. That I used and abused my money and power to control everything around me. But honestly, teachers make $60,000 a year. So, as I found out later, he gave a salary. I can't understand why she would be so homeless and destitute. She had a big designer bag, designer stroller, and these Van Cleef and apparel's jewelry when she showed up on my home. But now I'm the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think?
It sounds like mother-in-law is volunteering to take her and the baby in.
Sure does sound that way. If she's so concerned about the, her daughter-in-law, I don't know, what the mistress and her grandchild, then she needs to take them in, right?
Right, like this is not OP's responsibility. OP didn't sign up for this. Her partner went behind her back and had an affair. It's his responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
OP is not being manipulative by not giving the affair partner things. Like, it's not, again, her responsibility. Her husband can give the affair partner whatever he wants.
Yeah. So, I don't know how common law marriages work wherever OP is and how, any of the assets are going to be divided or anything like that. I imagine that OP probably is pretty savvy. They can probably afford a pretty good lawyer, whereas the husband is probably not going to be able to afford quite as good of a lawyer. But, I mean, I would say that OP should probably investigate the laws and how everything is, divided. He may actually sincerely believe that they actually he's entitled to half her stuff if there's like common law and whatnot. So I would be very careful with this whole thing and get a lawyer just to make sure that everything gets untangled properly.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my biggest caution. But I think OP, they sound like they're probably have a good head on their shoulders, so they probably don't have anything to worry about there. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And the Rings of the Dragon says, hold up. What is common law husband? I thought common law meant not married. He's just your boyfriend? Why isn't he coming back from his vacation? Haha. His girlfriend and child turned up at the house and are claiming to be homeless, and he's just like, oops, I'm on vacation right now. I'll be there in a week. He could just move his flight if it's that urgent. Very bizarre timing to have gone on vacation at a time that seems inconvenient to the mother and child. Or maybe it was a surprise eviction, but still. How does he have time for vacation when he's already juggling 2 girlfriends and a newborn? That's why he needs a vacation. And OP replies, yeah, a boyfriend, but you live together for a long time. And again, there are some places where if you live with someone for long enough, then you are in a common law relationship with them and you're afforded certain rights and responsibilities for them. And Worm Vessel says, he can be homeless with her now, not the jerk. And OP replies, absolutely. He wants to take an early plane home to explain. What's there to explain? He said that she tricked him into getting pregnant. I know that he hates children, but How do you trick people into having children? So many questions and absolutely no desire to get any answers. I only feel emptiness. I feel so bad for OP.
I feel zero sympathy for the husband, though, because it sounds like he grossly misled this woman. Like, I don't feel sympathy for her if she engaged in reproductive coercion. That's inexcusable.
Yeah.
But, like, he should not have lied and gone behind his wife's back, and been misleading two people.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it boils down to, is like he did a lot of this to himself, and that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day. He chose to have an affair. He chose to go behind OP's back. This, whether or not, she used reproductive coercion or not, has nothing to do with OP, right? That's a matter between him and his mistress, not him and OP.
Exactly.
Like, now that OP knows about this affair, there's nothing now, right? Like, the relationship is over. That's OP's choice. And Great Sky Thinking says, what country are you in? Common law spouses mean very little where I live. And OP replies, it means very little here too. Well, there you have it, folks. It means very little. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for uninviting my little brother to my wedding because he ripped off escorts? I'm a 30-year-old female and I'm getting married in the fall. My family and I had a Memorial Day barbecue, and I was sitting in lawn chairs with some of my cousins, sisters, and brothers. My brother, a 21-year-old male, starts bragging about how he figured out how to see escorts for free. He simply pays them on Cash App, and then after their session, reverses the charges because Cash App won't argue with the bank. The guys were laughing, and the girls just rolled their eyes, but I was outraged. I told them that until he pays those girls back and shows me proof that he can consider himself uninvited to the wedding. My parents say that I'm being unreasonable and that he's young and stupid and that what they're doing is illegal anyways. And I say what he did was assault those girls. They did not consent to free encounters. And if any of them have a handler, I hope they beat his butt. I stand by with what I said. He can pay those girls back and be re-invited to the wedding. They say that I'm being overdramatic. They said that giving him a firm talking to should be enough. Am I the jerk here? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. And I'm disgusted by how unconcerned so many people are about this. What he is doing is absolutely not okay, as OP points out. And this isn't some ha. He's scamming people. He's being a horrible person, and he needs to pay up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they may be mistaken about the legality of this as well. I mean, I know that in a lot of places, escorts are exist in a legal kind of gray area, but they're still legally able to do what they do, right? And it just happens to be that they're not allowed to be paid for being intimate with people, right? That's a choice that they make on their own, but it's an expectation, of course, right? And I think that's like the loophole behind it. I'm not sure exactly how all that works, though. Now, what I think could be something that comes up with OP's brother here is that if they are operating within the legal system, that they could actually take him to court and potentially sue him, or even get him brought up on charges of theft, right?
Right. Well, I hope they're able to do that because these people deserve to have their wages returned to them. But it's really gross that he's taking people in a potentially legally precarious situation and abusing them like that.
Yeah. It's really not good. It shows a fundamental lack of respect. And like, if you're going to, if people choose to use these services, then they need to also be willing to put money into these services, right? I mean, you can't just take advantage of people, and just because you say like, oh, they're doing something illegal, well, two illegal things don't make something right? It still makes you a morally bankrupt person, right? Well, let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Girl with the Monkey says, I'm a former escort and I can promise that I would blow all of his stuff up. That's only going to work for him for so long until he rips off the wrong escort and gets messed up. Not the jerk. And OP replies, and I wouldn't feel in the slightest bit sorry for him. If I knew who the girls were, I would give them his info myself, but unfortunately I don't have access to his phone. And Bogey135 says, who brags about seeing escorts, let alone to family and for free? And OP replies, he was bragging about scamming them. And Bogey135 says, sounds like a horrible person. I'm guessing that he can afford it and just scams them because he can? And OP replies, he's an authorized user on parents' credit card and figured that they wouldn't notice because the money went back. And he could have always just told them that they didn't authorize this charge. They found out because he was bragging at a barbecue. That's even makes so many layers of terrible here.
Yeah.
And Roro in 1990 says, I wouldn't want him back at the wedding even if he did pay them back.
Yeah.
And Polite Kitty says, yeah, he is truly relationship ending behavior for me. And OP replies, me too, I'm trying to give him an incentive so these poor girls get their money back.
I was actually going to say that. Like, it may be worth it just so that they can get their money back.
Yeah. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my parents that we aren't giving them money and that they need to humble themselves? Throwaway account, keep this separate from my normal account. I'm a 38-year-old female, and my husband is a 41-year-old male, and we have been stressing over my parents. My parents aren't doing well financially, as they took out of their pensions at 55 and only have about $100,000 to $130,000 left each. Their house has some equity, but not as much as you would think, as they have withdrawn from their equity line of credit several times. My dad has a $100,000 truck and a vintage Porsche, and my mom has a 7-seater, and they are the only ones to use it now. My dad is very prideful and refuses to take anyone's advice, so it was a shock when they came to me and asked for money. He has a lot of health issues and told me that he is going to be taking Social Security now. He's 68 and quitting a job, which means they cannot afford their mortgage or car payments. They totally blindsided me. I have no idea how bad it was until now. Thinking back, I guess I should have known, as they buy so much unnecessary stuff, but my parents always acted like they were rich. I told them point blank that I wasn't going to fund them until I could see all their accounts and assets, and this caused a huge fight, but they eventually relented. I went through what they had and realized that they don't need my help. They just need to downsize dramatically. My husband is a CPA, so he knows the stuff, and we went through and told them what they needed to do. They need to sell all their vehicles and get a reliable sedan. They need to sell their 3,400 square foot home and buy into a single home with a basement, suite, or apartment. I think that the apartment idea is better, as my dad struggles to mow the lawn, and hire someone now anyways. But my mom insists that she needs land for a garden. After that, their Social Security payments would be enough, and they would still have enough for a small nest egg. This was met with them complaining that they would have to be living like prisoners. My parents were angry if they got a small single family that they would need to rent out in the basement. My dad insists that the basement, which he has a man cave in, is necessary for life, and my mom refuses to downsize, as her whole room is full of clothes at their current home and they can't fit in a smaller house. I got mad and I told them that they need to humble themselves since they are the ones that are asking for money. This resulted in them yelling about how ungrateful I am over the phone until I hung up. I told them that they have to do this because I'm not helping. They still have more assets than my husband and I have to save for a college fund for my son. My parents have been trying to guilt me, saying that they gave me a great Christmas present and a college fund, so I owe them. I feel like that was a tiny proportion of their spending, and I didn't put them in this position. But am I obligated to support them when they can support themselves if they downsize? Alright folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk, and you're not obligated. Whatever your parents chose to do for you, you didn't choose to be brought into this world. They made their own choices and decisions, and now they have to reckon with them.
Well, and they also made the college fund as a gift, right? Mm-hmm. Like, no one talks to their children and says, you owe me after that college fund, right? Gifts are gifts.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there's a perfectly reasonable solution there. Plenty of people live in small places, and so to be like, oh, I couldn't possibly, I understand it would be an adjustment from their current living situation, but they've made unwise financial situations and they have to reckon with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's it, is like they've made a lot of decisions here that are unwise and they need to now do something about that. And how is OP giving them assistance going to really allow them to continue sustainably, right? Like, this is only going to last for so long, right?
It's a stopgap.
So if OP gives them money, they're going to be asking for more money later.
It's going to be a lifelong commitment until they die. OP continuing to finance their lifestyle. They need to figure it out on their own while they still have the ability to bring in more resources.
Yeah, I know OP also points out that they have more assets than they do. If they have more assets, then they can figure out how to use those assets in order to retire. And I mean, I understand, like, downsizing isn't ideal, and no one wants to, like, leave their home that they've been in for a long time, and I get that, right? But maybe they should look into selling some of those clothes and selling all kinds of other things and trying to use those assets in order to continue to pay their bills and whatnot. And I mean, I feel bad for them, right? Like, no one wants to be in the position where they are living a lifestyle they can't afford. But that's the way it is sometimes. Sometimes you have to figure out how to use what you have in order to survive.
Yeah, well, and then just the audacity of them expecting OP to use resources that it sounds like they don't really have to finance them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, the parents have more assets than OP and her family, and they're just like, oh, but we give you a college fund, so you are obligated to fund us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Not Shocked Fruit Weird says, info. Why wouldn't they just rent out a room or two in their current house? Downsizing doesn't work when the house you buy is similarly priced to the house that you want to sell, especially if they stay in the same area. And OP replies, the difference is they would no longer have a mortgage payment if they downsized. They have enough to equity to buy a small house or apartment nearly in all cash. Their current mortgage payment is now more than half of their Social Security payments combined. With property tax and utilities, it's unaffordable even with a room rented. And they would never agree to share a house. They wouldn't even agree to rent out a basement with a separate entrance. And OP also replies, I also want to mention that my parents are probably unhappy in their marriage. My mom deals with it by shopping and getting beauty treatments done, and my dad has his toys, and made their basement into an entertainment area for himself. They probably don't want to downsize because they need to be closer to each other if they do. But if they divorce, they are both going to be messed over because their money will be cut in half and they won't be able to own their home, and not to mention the lawyer fees. I think that they have decided to stick together, but on opposite sides of the house. Of course, renting a room still doesn't work because they find having to rent out any part of their home too embarrassing, but it's their only option if they want to retire. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a jovial Bobstein vacation joke.
Did the pig have a good vacation?
The pig had a great vacation. He went to Oinkadelia.
Yes, it was swill.
Yes, it was swell. Okay. I guess so. I mean, the last one was such a stretch, or maybe the one before. I don't remember. They all blend together. They're all stretches here. And so I was like, we will make one that's a stretch as well. And I have Earl Grey. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Fantastic Friday, folks. I can't believe it. We made it to the end of the week. I hope your week has gone great. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on money.
Don't make your financial decisions based on money you don't have, and don't scam people.
I think that is a great bit of moral advice. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.